All right. Welcome, one and all, to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. I am John, and if you could, hit that like and subscribe button. We have Brian in the house. Also, feel free to drop any comments. We have Brian in the house rocking the Cheap Trick shirt. And let me tell you something. In the pantheon of American bands, I honestly can't think of an American band who is better and more underrated all in the same thing. I mean, if you look at them, I think they have about as many hits almost as anybody. And yet they for some reason they always seem to be at the second tier. For me, they're first tier, but what say you, Brian?
Yeah, they're an outstanding band, and the coolest thing about Cheap Trick right now is they just put out two new songs.
Okay.
You go to Spotify or whatever you get your music, you
Hmm.
listen to their two new songs, they sound just as good as their old ones
Wow.
because uh, you know the style of music they play is not going to be like the Van Halens, Aerosmith,
Right.
Kiss, where they can't do that as old men.
Yeah. Right. Right.
The style of
Exactly.
music Cheap Trick plays, not as heavy, but still rocking, still good, very melodic. They can still duplicate that, and they got some new music uh, that is just as good as the stuff they were putting out in the '70s and the '80s.
For anybody who doesn't know Cheap Trick, you get the album. I guess they're called albums still. Live at Budokan. There is no better live album ever. And I would put that up there with Frampton Comes Alive. I mean, just whoever you want to say is a live album, that is literally the platinum standard of live albums.
Absolutely, that's the one that broke them.
Yeah,
You know,
it sure did.
kind of
Yeah.
like very similar to Kiss. Kiss first three records kind of sat there in the low sales, didn't generate much, and then all of a sudden they put out a live album and they became Kiss.
I remember you telling me a story about the manager of Kiss telling them before they recorded Detroit City Rocks, I believe that was the album, that they had to sell 250,000 copies or something in that range, or they were going to be done. There was, and can you imagine the pressure going into that recording? Like, boy, we better put some stuff out, you know,
It was a different
or we're
world
working
then,
at
right?
Denny's. What?
It was a different world then.
It was,
I
and
don't even know how do bands get paid. They get paid from the number of streams they get, or
I,
does the
I,
streaming service pay them to have the music on it? How does it even work
well,
these days?
I agree. And it wasn't that the crux of the Taylor Swift thing, with I believe she had the big battle with Spotify that she wasn't getting paid for, all her clicks or whatever it was. I mean, it was a
Yeah, I'm not.
huge battle. I'm not a Taylor Swift fan, but she is a force. And also,
I don't know. It might be
I know
coming
we're
out.
this is a sports show. We will get to that eventually. Rest in peace, Ace Frehley, one of my favorite guitar players. He wasn't the most talented, but I just really love that guy. He was just such great energy in Kiss. Founding member, passed away the other day. God bless and Godspeed to that man, huh? Any thoughts on Ace Frehley?
Uh, yeah, he was my favorite Kiss member as a kid
Mm-hmm.
because we were kids. We were kids when Kiss was cool.
Yeah, well, they were cool before they reformed and reformed and reformed. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly. All right, let's get to the beautiful world of baseball, though. Let's start out with the American League Championship Series. After two games, Brian took Toronto to win the series. I took Seattle. After two games, I was thinking, got this one in the bag. Doesn't seem like anybody can win on their home turf. Seattle won the first two in Toronto. Toronto came back and won the second two in Seattle. All of them basically in convincing fashion. What do you think's going on in this series, Brian?
There must be something in the hotels that has given those road teams a little extra juice. I don't know,
You
maybe the
got that
breakfast
right.
buffet's got a little extra protein mix in the eggs.
Fentanyl, exactly.
Wow. I
And,
say
and
protein, you say fentanyl, whatever.
yeah, I know. You're the healthy guy, okay? I'm the single guy. I will say this: Brian's dream has come to fruition in this playoff series, this playoff run. Yesterday, in the fifth inning, as he was cruising along, but he had a little trouble. Max Scherzer was on the mound trying to get out of the fifth inning. And his manager walked out there, I think, with the intention of pulling him out. Max wasn't having any of that. Max was staying on the mound, and we saw him barking. Before the manager got there, he was already screaming at him, I'm staying here. I'm finishing the inning. Honestly, if he didn't have, I believe at that point, a 4-run lead, I think he would have pulled him, and then we would have saw the WWE version of Major League Baseball. That must have been the highlight of your year, Brian.
Well, it's good to see a guy fight to stay in the game instead of just hang his head and walk off. It was a little, yeah, we'll talk about starting pitchers when we get to the National League, but
Yes. Yes, we will.
the, Vladimir Guerrero is just, that guy is just tearing it up. The guy is, he's just ripping, and he's carrying it. And let's not forget that the Blue Jays are playing without Bichette, you
Right.
know, this whole postseason, and they're still doing it. So the 2-2 and the fact that both teams have won on the road all the games, a little shocking, but I'm sticking with my Toronto pick. I think
Sure.
it's going to come around. Max unfortunately couldn't get through the sixth inning, but
Yeah. But for the last month and a half, he has actually been a below average starting pitcher. I mean, he has a
yeah,
great legacy, but he was basically giving up a run an inning for the last 6 weeks. And yeah, and he was going up against Seattle's Castillo, who he only had given up 3 earned runs in his last 31 innings. I mean, this guy was on fire. And you know what? That's what playoff baseball is all about. Just putting bats on balls, like you talked about before the series.
wow, imagine that.
Yeah, I
Ball in
know.
play, good things happen.
You got the right band and you got the right team. So you're staying with them. I'm going to have to obviously stick with Seattle. That was my pick. You know, it's amazing. There was a stat that when the home team had lost the first 2 games in a best-of-7 series, they were 3-28. Two of the teams that had come back were the 86 Mets and I believe the 95 or 96 Yankees against Baltimore. Or, yeah, Baltimore, I guess it was. And I honestly didn't think Seattle was going to. I thought they were just basically, they just had to win a series at home. And boy, oh boy, I guess that's why we love baseball, right? Any other thoughts before we move
Yeah,
on?
the script flips from day to day.
It
They
sure as
always
heck
say
does.
there's that old expression too, you're only as good as your next day's starting pitcher.
That's what you
I
always
wonder if that
preach. I give you.
applies I wonder if that still applies though in the metrics-based analytics era, where your starting pitcher, according to most metrics in postseason baseball, is only going to have to go 3 or 4 innings.
Right. 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 Yeah. Spot starter,
Unless you're in the National League Championship Series, which we can transfer over to that now if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's get to it. Okay. If you followed this podcast, and I hope you have, and I hope we get new listeners, Brian, I think the happiest moments of his life were obviously getting married, Shangri-La, birth of his kids, probably family events. But the first 2 games in this series, Blake Snell literally came as close to a perfect game as you're going to see. Went 8 strong innings. The next night, Yamamoto goes 9 innings. And I was thinking to myself, somewhere Brian is smiling because he always preaches about length for the starters. And the Dodgers, unfortunately, because I'm not a Dodger fan, but I gotta call it like I see it. They are smashing on the Milwaukee Brewers. They're up 3-0, and they just seem like they are running away with this. There you
Yeah,
go.
I picked the Brewers on this.
Yeah, I know.
Not a good call.
Yeah.
But yes, tremendous uh, props to the Dodgers and Blake Snell, who I've despised most of his career, and Yamamoto. Uh, the fact that I think Blake Snell's only gone more than 6 innings, what is it, like only maybe 2 or 3 times in his whole career?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fact that he went out there for 8 is
And one
tremendous.
of them
The
was a
fact,
no hitter.
right, the one that was like the first time he ever threw a complete
Right.
game. He goes,
Right.
maybe you let him go longer. I don't know, but the fact that he went out there and pitched 8 phenomenal innings, and they took him out, let the closer come in, whatever. And then Yamamoto comes out, complete game. Uh, the coolest thing I think about this that it references is that it's letting me believe that Roberts, maybe he doesn't have a predetermined script in his back pocket.
Okay.
That's been the complaint on him forever,
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
that, he's not really managing. He's just following the direction that's given to him, following the script that's laid out, when to change his pitchers and which pitchers to go with, and blah, blah, blah. I got to think that there was no way management told him, well, we're going to have Snell pitch 8 innings. You know, they
Yeah.
probably went into that assuming he's going to pitch 6.
If that.
And the fact that Roberts sent him out for 7 and then 8, that says that he's making some decisions. It's what it tells me, anyways.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yamamoto, we've seen him go deep in games before. He had that near no hitter in
Yep.
September, right?
Yep.
That I'll still say they should have let him finish it even after Holiday hit that ninth inning home run, because he only needed one more out.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they should have let him finish the game because they ended up losing it. But anyways, we've seen him go deep, and I think his pitch count was up around 117 or whatever. They didn't use that magic 100 pitch marker to take him out in the 8th or
Right.
after the 8th. And
Hmm.
I think that's what they should be doing. And so kudos to the Dodgers on that. I think what Glasnow only pitched into the 6th last night. He
Yeah.
didn't go as far, but they won the game, and they've basically kicked the shit out of the Brewers for 3 games in a row
A-
now.
Amen. And I do think the glass now thing, I think to your point is right on the spot, is I think in a normal game, they probably would have let Glasnow go farther, but they had to get their relievers in. They literally been sitting for 5 days, and they wanted to get him some action. We saw, Trinian, Bonda, Sasaki. They had to get somebody going on. And, honestly, I think they're going to close it out in 4, right? And then they're going to have a week wait till the World Series. I mean, they needed to get some pitches in for their relief corps.
Maybe, or maybe their relievers need some rest because they've been so terrible. But but
Got that.
I
Tanner
still think that
Scott.
and all these props to the Dodgers for everything they've done. I mean, they're dominating the postseason. Were they like 8-1 so far? They're just
Yeah.
they're they're killing the postseason. So who am I to critique them? But I'm going to. I still think they're making a mistake today. I think Kershaw should get this start. They don't need to start Ohtani. Kershaw, as we discussed before, has had a much better season, and he's a starting pitcher. Putting him out in the bullpen to bring him in for 2 innings in the middle of a game doesn't do him any favors. And I mean, think about it. If this could be his last performance in Dodger Stadium, I don't know.
Right.
You got a 3 games to none lead. Put him on that short leash, you know. Send him out there with the hopes that, you know what, he can cruise through 5, maybe 6. I'm not saying
Right.
Kershaw's got to go out there and throw another complete game and go out this mighty warrior hero, but he's a
Sure.
tremendous starting pitcher. He was a tremendous starting pitcher this season. And,
Absolutely.
send that gun out there. Let Shohei focus on his hitting because he needs to.
Yeah, I totally agree. But I do think Shohei calls the shots, right? And I think what's going on here is they want to see how sharp he's going to be to see if he's going to be the opening starter in the World Series. That's just my thought. It's it's not the right thing in a baseball way, but it is the right thing for his the way he views himself because he is the sun in the Dodger universe, right? What he says, that's how it's going to go, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Well, and then
Also,
and then that counters everything we just said about Roberts making some decisions.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right, though. I thought he was the marionette, but it does seem like he has a lot more sway and a lot more influence than maybe I gave him credit for, or we did, you know? I want to ask you another question that's not really being talked about. The Dodgers had an amazing amount of injuries this year. I want to put it out there. Were they real injuries or was this just a disguise for load management? Because, it's look, they've got the salary, they've got the money. I mean, obviously, somehow they've got more money than the Yankees, which is hard for me to fathom. But it just seems like they knew they were going to get there. They're in a weak NL West this year. And all they had to do is just say, hey, we're going to just take a couple months off. And when we get to the playoffs, everybody's going to be primed and ready. I don't know. It just looks really fishy to me.
Yeah, I saw a meme or something yesterday that said, here's it said it had a picture of a couple of the Dodgers starting pitchers, but it said, here's a concept. Sign 7 great starting pitchers. Have them only pitch 100 innings during the season.
Right.
And then by the time the playoffs roll around, they're in mid-season form.
Yeah. Yeah. I will tell
I
you
mean,
this.
the
Yeah,
Dodgers paid more in luxury tax than most of the teams paid in actual payroll.
sure.
So
Yeah,
are they buying a championship? No, but they're paying a hefty price to get to it.
absolutely.
And if that's the way they choose to spend their money, so be it. I mean, from a just a player standpoint, I would think, if I'm signing a contract with the Dodgers to blow holes in your conspiracy theory,
Okay.
hey dude, we're gonna put you on the 60-day IL since your elbow is just a
Right.
little sore. We want to
Right.
save you for the playoffs. There's something about being a professional athlete, and granted, I've never been one, but I've listened to enough of them speak, tell stories, read their books, autobiographies, things like that, seen them interviewed. There's something internal that wouldn't really want that to be the case.
Right.
There's like a pride thing, call it
Right.
male ego, whatever. That's going to say, no, man, I want to go out and I want to pitch. I
The
want to
alpha
play.
mentality. Alpha
Yeah,
mentality.
I'm a baseball player. I want to go play. I want to go do my job. Uh,
Right.
I mean, granted, there are some players that'll get a hangnail and have to take a month off because, well, Anthony
Yeah.
Rendon.
Because you got to go to the beach. Yeah, exactly. Come on, it's summer,
But
Brian.
but no, I don't. I mean, maybe they had some guys skip some starts, whatever. But no, I don't think they went into this thing and strategically planned to have all these guys miss all these games. I just think they
Well,
have a
you and I
philosophy. They got the
disagree.
money to
Yeah.
maybe it's a big conspiracy theory hole or whatever. There
Okay.
might be some truth to it, but I don't think they necessarily started the season with the intent of, they went out and signed
Okay.
Blake Snell,
Hmm.
Sasaki. Hey, Sasaki, we're going to sign you. We're going to give you all this guaranteed money. We're going to send you down to Albuquerque
Yeah.
until September, but
Yeah.
enjoy the
Let
bus.
me tell you, that'll humble a man. I don't care if you get 300 million living for 4 months in Albuquerque. Hey, is that John Jones running me off the road? I don't know enough about it, right? But uh I will say this, that I am not a Dodger fan. I do think they are good for baseball. I think having a dominant team in baseball is good for the narrative in baseball. But the worst part about the Dodgers are they are spending money hand over fist, but they have really smart people spending the money versus, say, the Mets, who are spending just as much money as the Dodgers, but they don't seem to be allocating it too well. That's all I got to say.
Well, they got to vacation time a little earlier. So it's
Sure did.
where you prioritize your plans and spending.
Yeah. Juan Soto and Aaron Judge are hanging out in Cancun, back there, their teammates on the beach volleyball circuit. Yeah, that's what I got to say. All right. So do you see it? Do you see the Dodgers snapping it out in a sweep here, or do you think Milwaukee may rise and pull a game out of this?
Yeah, I think Milwaukee might pull this one out and send it to a fifth game, but the Dodgers are going to win this series for sure. The Brewers are
Yeah.
not going to pull off a Red Sox comeback. That's 100%. I'll
Yeah.
guarantee you that.
I think you're 100% right. I 100%. There's only one Red Sox, and everybody out there, remember that. Red Sox Nation forever. And maybe we'll actually get some players this year with the money we saved on the Devers contract. But that's another thing. Really, before we go out here, there's a rumor floating around. I want this to be 30 seconds. There's a rumor going around that Albert Pujols is the first in line to be the new Angels manager. What's your gut say on that?
I think it would be a good hire. I
Ooh,
think he would be a
wow.
good hire as a manager. There's
I
my gut instinct.
Okay, I dig it. I dig it because down the road here, we don't have that many more podcasts coming, but I really do want to get in because I think it's a terrible hire. But you know what? I look forward to seeing what you got to say about that. But and also there was a report out that the Baltimore Orioles wanted to interview, and I'm thinking, wow, what's that about? But there's 8 openings in baseball. There may be more by the time the season's over. We'll see what happens. All right. Anything you got to say to wrap it up there, Brian?
Uh, Go Brewers.
Go Brewers. Brew Crew. Do it for Euchre. Do it for Euchre. Okay. All right. That's it today for the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. If you could, please hit that like and subscribe button. Leave some comments. I'll respond to them. And we'll see you soon on the Off the Rails Sports Podcast.